Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, with sustainability, hand in hand comes accountability. So how can we convince those around us to be more sustainable, to be greener, to be kinder to the planet? What powers of persuasion do we need to use? Well, our next guest is going to tell us exactly how to do that. Please give a very warm welcome for Darren Ollian, who is a TV host and an Emmy-nominated one at that. Darren, over to you.
Thank you. Nice. Didn't see that coming. How great is that? Hey everyone, hope you're having a great time here at the Summit. I'm honored to be here. It's such a cool thing to get together and see the fabric of connection and see the fabric of people coming together and innovating. Innovation with consciousness and solving problems and solutions is kind of the thing that lights me up every day. Just kind of spinning through, I'm going to talk all of the dirt on Zac Efron. So is that cool if I just do that all? No, just kidding. There's no dirt. But that was a great kind of arc for me in the sense of being able to really explore media from an authentic place and celebrating people doing great things while we explore the world and highlighting what people are doing. Because ultimately, what I believe the most is that the fabric of our human spirit is what's going to create most change. And then through that fabric, we put pressure on industry and governments to then follow suit. And we're starting to see some of that stuff, but we need to do a lot more in that sense. I think, going through this whole, semi-small CV that I have here, I was contemplating everything that I've really been passionate about is, and my hope for you, that you come away with a little more self-sovereignty. And that is taking more and more agency over what you are doing, what you are consuming, what you are purchasing, because ultimately, that is the voting. That is how you move through the world. And today, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on some of the habits and consistent things that you do every day that may be and not so great for your future and your endeavors, because there's some persistent fatal conveniences that I will reveal. Just a snippet. I just wrote a whole book on this, 2.5 years, 20 researchers, and it's alarming what we're doing in this day and age. But a little more on that later. And then what I'm really excited about is I partnered with a very good friend of mine, Chris Patton, and a company called AlphaCore, and it's all based in very large but scalable solutions. One of the most, and I'll leave you kind of wanting to ask more questions and probably not having the ability to, and that is we just figured out there's a way that we were able to use frequency hitting hydrogen, H2O, in the air and actually create a clean white flame out of it using frequency generation and very little power. And then once it creates that power, we loop it back in, it becomes a whole new power source. So these things are real, and even on the shows, I'm developing more TV shows, all based in really people in this room, speakers, and it's really about the fabric of that human connection. But there's things that we need to be aware of, and that's really where the focus. And, just a little bit more, my background came by way of innocently looking at the supplement world, looking at the food world, and realizing, why are there harmful things in these products? So I said, hey, in order to really find out what's going on, I started traveling around the world, and an article came out in Business Week in the US, and they coined me a superfood hunter, which kind of stuck. And that's really where it came, but the superfood was also the super people. And that was really the fabric of how that was all. And then I created some products for a company, Beachbody, and it's done very well. So what I want for you guys to get out of that before I jump here to this question is I want you to question these things and again walk away with a little more agency over choices you're making every day. If we stop asking questions, then we stop gaining awareness and information. And if there's one superpower I have, I'm curious and I have a crazy ability to take action on those things. And that's where even the serendipity of Zach reaching out to me created the opportunity of that show. So don't underestimate the power of us as individuals and the clarity of focus when you're very attuned to what it is that you truly want. Because there's one thing I believe more than anything else, and that is the human heart and the human fabric of our humanity coming together. And that's why the South Summit has been such a great inspiration, because every day I'm at dinner with someone just with my mind blown with the dedication that they have. So this question, it's a muse, really. Do you know that you're probably wearing, most men probably right now, and women all own one of them, you're wearing something right now that took about, on average, 8,000 chemicals to produce. And you're wearing it all the time. And that is a t-shirt. So as I look at this stuff, some of this stuff is such a bummer, right? It's you look at these things and you're like, wait a minute, 8,000 chemicals it took to make this t-shirt, most of which are industrial chemicals. Of that, about 80,000 have been created, and 250 million tons a year of industrial chemicals are used. And we are putting this on our bodies, and this is a muse. I get into personal care products, I get into food systems. We are kind of a society that we are born into it, so it's not our fault. But if we become absent to the information, if we don't face it, we don't change it, and becoming aware of the said t-shirt is a way to have more agency over yourself and your life. Now, this has ramifications. So everyone believes that our bodies are an ecosystem, yes? We are an ecosystem, that's an ecosystem. It's not out there. Nature's not out there. It's here, and we're all around, and we have created this weird world. And all of you entrepreneurs and people who are inspired today and want to create, I urge you to create. But be careful creating a solution and also creating another problem. Perfect example of that. Of course, a t-shirt had a good intention. There was no pesticides involved with creating a t-shirt back in the day. It's the most used piece of clothing on the planet. On average, people buy 5 new t-shirts every day. And if you look at just the dyeing process alone of the shirt, after you're getting through a few thousand chemicals, just dyeing alone is 125 liters per shirt. So extrapolate that on the human population. And that water now is also tainted. And where does that water go? There's no away, because that cycle comes back to us and gets us, right? In our water, in our food, in our groundwater. And listen, we've come an amazing way. All of us in this room can go to our faucet and have on-demand water. Problem is, they're just doing enough so that you don't acquire typhoid, dysentery, and acutely die, right? they're not accounting for the huge amount of these 80,000 chemicals. They don't have the sophistication. So one of the greatest things, and I highlight this PFAS, which are pre- or perfluoroalkyl substances, comes from this amazing thing by DuPont called Teflon, right? And listen, just a caveat, Europe, I applaud you. In America, we are leading in the wrong direction in this case. And at the same time, you know, there's agency of putting on notice about 12,000 chemicals here in the EU. The problem is they don't put that into action truly until 2027. And some of these things, one of it being this PFAS, this is a forever chemical. And we've had experience with these things. PCBs. We banned them. You guys banned them before us. They're still here. They're accounting for killing half of the orca population in the ocean today, still. In 1972, we banned in the US DDT. Guess what's in the blood, even here in Europe, in the blood of most people today? DDT. An incredible, very powerful, but very dangerous insecticide. I don't mean to bum you out, but I do know that when we want to change, it takes a bit of self-determination, it takes a bit of self-love, and it takes some courage. And I guarantee everyone sitting in this room has an infinite amount of courage, because we've all faced challenges, and you've all surpassed challenges, and that is what we need to do as a human family. Continue to face these things, push back. No more plausible deniability of corporations where they say, hey, we didn't test it ourselves, we don't know our product is dangerous, so therefore we're not liable. No longer anymore. So this is something that, and PFAS and endocrine disruptors and things in our perfumes and colognes and makeup that doesn't want to wipe off, all of these conveniences have these things called endocrine disruptors. And in 70 years, there's a lot of factors, because it's not just the chemicals that we've created. There's a lot of factors involved. In 70 years, men's testosterone has went down by 50%. Infertility as well. And we're sprinting in the next couple decades where we literally, the fabric of us moving forward as a population, won't even be able to produce children in the natural way. And I think you can extrapolate on what the natural way is. So, you know, this is an alarm. Now, why the hell, again, so let me just emphasize. Going back to, I'm an ecosystem. If I put this t-shirt on that has, on average, 60% of all clothes created today have plastic, plasticizers, formaldehydes, getting into the ocean. Washing one pair of jeans introduces 50,000 microbits of plastic every wash. And you're wearing it on your skin. Petroleum, other dyes, other part of the 1,000 chemicals. The dangers are consistent, proximal, close to you, and perpetuating. So a lot of these companies say, hey man, it's just a little bit. Well, guess what? We operate in just a little bit. Our glandular system, our endocrine system is modulating our entire body, our central nervous system, our immune system, all of these things by micro changes. So we've created, I go back to the 80,000 chemicals we keep creating. Of that, a few thousand are tested. None are tested as they interact with each other. This is a crazy experiment. So again, I go back to, I want you to become aware, because you and I, we always have the numbers, meaning about 8 billion people on the planet. So when we become aware, we can make different choices. We have other conversations. Hopefully you walk away from this and go, shit, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of those chemicals. I wasn't aware of these genes. I wasn't aware of those phthalates in my lotions that are undercutting my health. Are you fatigued? Do you have a headache? All these things and a whole lot more. Number 2 largest polluter on the planet is clothing. And you don't think of, I have the privilege of wearing clothes that were made by a good friend of mine, Jeff Garner, has been sustainably creating clothes for 20 years, way before ahead of his time. And I got to a point after writing this book, I'm like, I can't knowingly buy regular clothes anymore. I have a problem, right? So there are some good companies, and the choices are becoming greater. And again, my hope for all of you is when you're creating anything, think of the pleomorphic effect that your solution has, right? And these are the things. So this is what I define fatal convenience is the things that you may be doing every day because the world has normalized it. It has made you think, hey man, it's just a t-shirt. Hey man, it's just a processed burger. Hey man, I just want to live my life. While you're saying that in apathy, potentially, it is undercutting the entire fabric of moving us forward as a society. And I'm trying to be dramatic here because we are seeing the endocrine disruption affecting the fertility of men and women, and in a couple decades, again, we won't have the ability to produce our population. Why did I get involved in this? It's kind of like, it's intense. I had a great book, New York Times bestseller, Eat Plants, Be Aware, High Nutrition Value, Nutrient Efficiency through powerful food, hydration, all of that stuff. Why did I write this book? Why am I talking about this? Because I had a father was in the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was one of the keepers of the dragon. He was, we almost had a nuclear explosion, obviously, and my dad was one of the keepers. So he took the atomic bomb, got it ready, and he was around all this stuff. So his endocrine system was severely compromised, and he had to live with that for the rest of his life. Later in life, he was more susceptible, where he would be around off-gassing of a shirt, the azo dyes and the prints and all of that stuff that you and I, most people, we're not perceiving, doesn't mean that it's not happening. He couldn't function. This is a double master's degree professor. He was forced retirement, and then it circled him so much in depression because it disconnected him from connecting, because everyone was just wearing regular stuff. In order to be around him, finishing up at university, he would send me these care packages of clean products. And at first I was like, Dad, come on, this is crazy. And this was in the 90s. And very quickly, as I detoxed myself, not realizing that I was being affected as well, he changed my life. 30 years later, my whole life is looking at this industrialized world creating these toxic products all over the place. This one's a zinger. So everyone, I guarantee you, everyone right now has this device in their hand. What do you think it is? Anyone? Cell phone, maybe? This one, this is weird. because the cell phones are oh, I got 23 seconds. Oh my God. Okay. I want to do this then, because they're going to kick me out. I want you guys to take a picture of these studies, and there's hundreds more. Cell phones are acting very similarly through plant, animal, and human studies of carcinogenic activity and endocrine disrupting. So look at these studies for yourself. I gotta go. Now the clock is going back up, so maybe they want me to keep talking. I'm just kidding. Are we good still? So these are things that we need to be aware of. The cell phone, the chemicals, these are things that we can, as people creating, as you guys becoming aware, have these conversations, vote with your energy, your dollars towards things that are clean. Because innately, if you clean your body vessel, it also cleans the environment, because it doesn't put that toxic crap in the world. Okay, that's it. I wish I had a week to talk to you guys more, but stoked to be here, and thank you very much.
Darren Orlean.